Hello friends, I'm Matt McQueen. Welcome to my studio. Today I thought it would be fun to talk about a record that I made with my friends in the Damn Shames. We've spent the last 2 years working on this record, and they have been making some video content on their YouTube, Instagram, giving some behind-the-scenes thoughts on how the songs came together, and also sharing some stories from the studio. And I thought it would be fun to pull up the Pro Tools sessions and look at some of the raw tracks for these recordings, and also talk about some of the things that not only we did during the production recording of each of these songs, but also some of the things that I did when I was mixing them here. So we're gonna look at Fire in the Hole. It's the first song on the record, and was one of the last songs actually to get cut and mixed. But let's just listen to a chorus of Fire in the Hole. So the first thing that I want to do is just kind of talk about how we made this record in almost its entirety. Is that the guys, they did a lot of, first of all, the songwriting. They did all the songwriting from their jam room, from their house, from their rehearsal space, and they did a lot of pre-production as they were working the songs out. They'd jam them, work them out together, and then once they kind of felt like the jam felt good, they would start recording stuff. And so all of these sessions, they would come to me with usually some demo drums that were programmed. Then they would have rhythm guitars and maybe a few layers that they knew for sure that they wanted to do, maybe even a demo solo. They would have the bass guitar, and when they would get here, we would put those sessions together into a new session, and we would add all of the drum tracks for the drum set in my live room, and we would start with drums, and they would cut the real drums to the demo tracks. And then, sometimes we would shift things around. We would make things shorter, we'd make things longer, and then once the drums were cut, then maybe we would even take the guitars that they recorded, which came as both amp sounds that they created at home, and also DIs, and we would use those DIs to further edit if anything needed editing, but then also to run it through the amps here that are behind me in the control room and into my cabs here. And so usually we would start with getting that demo process done, and then getting the drums done, and then doing any reamping of the guitars, and then sometimes even the bass. Although usually if I reamped the bass, I ran it through my Sans amp, and then after that, we would usually do the acoustic guitar, decide how we wanted the acoustic guitar to get arranged. Do we want it to be a single acoustic? Are there any spots where we want the acoustic to get doubled? And then usually by, mid-afternoon, early afternoon, we're tracking vocals, and we would spend most of the rest of a Saturday working on Crowder's lead vocals, and then adding harmonies on top of that and figuring out what the arrangement was going to be like. Are there going to be doubles here? Are there going to be harmonies here? And, the guys usually had a lot of their harmony parts already. They came knowing what they were going to sing, and we would cut all of those, and then a lot of times we would double Trevor and Andrew's harmonies, and by the end of a Saturday, we would have maybe a song done, maybe 2 songs done if we had all day Friday and all day Saturday to work on stuff, and we would send it off to Don Eanes, and he would cut keys on it. And then some of the songs we had Kyle Roop cutting either pedal steel or lap steel on it, and that's how we made pretty much this entire record, and just over and over and over again until we had all the songs done. So these drums are drums that we cut here. And let's just go ahead and just listen to the drums, what they sound like in this chorus in the final mix. Okay, a lot going on there. So we've got a kick in mic, which for this is probably, I don't know, let's just listen to it. Okay, that's almost certainly, that's a Behringer B19. And then the kick trigger is doing most of the heavy lifting. Actually, this is a kind of a blend that I came up with of several different samples called Quitting Time Kick is what I named it. QT Kick. Used this in Quitting Time and also in Fire in the Hole. And that sample, or all those samples together, sound like this. It's great. It's great sounding. Inside kick and the kick trigger. Just a little tiny bit of extra smack. And I tried a few different things here. Saturation, virtual mix rack. Ended up turning them all off and just going with just a little bit of EQ on the kick bus. When you have the right sample blended in with the microphone, you don't have to go crazy with whatever you're doing on the kick drum, which is a lesson I have been learning. I always want to go overboard with how I process the kicks, and sometimes you just right sample, it just doesn't need it. So snare drum, the top snare is a Heil PR20, I think. I don't know. It's been a while since we recorded the song. I might not have had that mic yet, and it might have been a Beta 57, but the top snare has trigger on it, but it's turned off. I just copied it over, turned it off. It's just gating. It's just gating. And bypassing, it's going to play it just out of that one channel. But yeah, it's just gating. And some EQ. And the bottom snare. And the snare sample. All three together. And I love this. This is in the NERZ, that sound pack. It's called Crackiato. I used it pretty much every song on this record. And then we've got those running into this API Vision strip. Sounds like a snare drum. A couple of reverbs on there. I'm not showing you how to do all the mix, but yeah, just a couple of reverbs. Oh, the drum kit is my Ludwig Classic Maple. Here's what the overheads sound like. I have the good fortune of having a huge live room. It's 30 feet by 50 feet. So we always put up a couple of microphones here. And we did just put one pair up. This is what the room mics sound like. Crazy heavy-handed with the EQ there. So it's better to show, the room mics, they sound like room mics, but if you listen to the drums and then I turn them off, you'll be able to tell better what they're actually doing. I mean, it's crazy. The room sounds great and it adds so much life and excitement to the drums. It is awesome. This is a pair of condenser microphones on a really big boom pole that I have. Boom pole. A really big boom microphone stand up really high. Now I face them away from the drums, but at this time period, let me just listen to them again. I'm pretty sure I'm facing them toward the drum kit. Yeah, those are towards the drums, definitely. So, but sounds great. Whole drums again. That sounds like drums in a bedroom, though, if you turn off the reverbs and the room mics. sounds great. So bass guitar is next, and not a lot going on with this. This is not crazy bass chain. I've had some that are just ridiculous, but you can see here Andrew is a really even player. So I mean, you just don't have to go over the top with it. So let's listen to the bass on this chorus. And add the Sans amp. Really makes the bass feel like it gets like the size of the bass happens to get a little bigger, and then the compression. Just even in and out, it gets a little louder too. And then this is great. I've been using this a lot, and what's crazy is that it, or what's going to be a little annoying is that I actually have this weird thing where I have to, my bus faders, I really like to keep them at 0, or, you know, if I move them, I'm moving them at the end. So like this is me balancing, putting it down minus 0.05. This plugin's really cool on bass, but I'm going to turn the bass guitar down with it so that I can leave my bus, you know, or I did that way later, but so I can get my bus to where I want it to be, where I have to see it because of my whatever craziness. Just let it compress and turn it down. So hard to compare what that's actually doing, but it's compressing a lot. So, and then some multiband. And then track spacer is just sidechain to the kick. Hear the bass, you know, you do hear the kick drum just kind of punch through just a little better with track spacer on there. So that was kind of just first day in the studio. Drums, bass are done, and then most of these guitars got reamped later. And we did some of the guitars while they were actually here, but they still ended up getting reamped later when I was mixing the song. So let's listen to Crowder's rhythm guitar first, which I made a little note here for myself. It is my Bad Cat Hot Cat into a 1978 Marshall cab. And we've got 25-watt blackbacks in there, and I used a Unidyne 545 into a Cappy VP28 for the microphone. So that sounds like this. Taking out some harshness there with Pro Q4 and Soothe. Dude, Soothe is the champion. It's so good. And then we've got another Crowder guitar here, which apparently I got too lazy to write down what it was. It says 545, so it's definitely a 545. But I don't know what, it might be the Sir SL67. I don't know. Yeah, that's definitely a Marshall. So it's the Sir SL67, which is, you know, like a 67 plexi kind of thing. So here's what those sound like together. Love that. And then we've got the double riff, which also, so this is on the same side as Crowder's 67, the plexi, but it's the Bad Cat again. So it's just doubling the riff. And then we got another one of those. And then all 4 of those guitars together are what pretty much makes the meat of the chorus. Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Let's turn that off. Oops, that is not what I meant to do. I meant to go like that. All right. Let's see. And then we got some verse guitars here. Let's see. These are some slide guitars. Trevor played those, and then we got some intro or some other ones too in the verses. And again, I wish I'd written down what I reamped those with. I don't remember. We got these bridge guitars. These are really cool sounding. This chorus pedal is what you're hearing in that. I don't know if I gotta hold it in front of my face probably. There you go. Max on. That's the chorus that's on that. So really love that. Super cool. And let's see, the solo. This is I wrote it down here. This is the Tube Screamer and the L cap. And then that's going into the Sir SL67, blackback mic'd with a 545. So very similar recipe. Here's what the solo sounds like. And we've got this delay that's getting automated here, and it's just this fader pushing up the send to this delay, which is dual stereo echo, dotted eighth on the side, quarter note on the other side, on the side and on the other side. Dude, go to bed. Are you tired? You can't talk. Okay. I love that, man. I love that so much. It just feels so nice. That's pretty much it for the guitars. You know, there's these little guys at the ending here. This little outro. These outro guys. Let's see what those are doing. We'll just listen to all three of them together. Yeah, and this was all stuff that they did. This was all the pre-pro. I mean, choosing the sounds was the only thing that I had to do with this, but this is all their layering and everything that they wanted to do. And it turned out great. It turned out so good. So, and I really wanted it to be just a single acoustic. It's panned 28, whatever that is in Pro Tools, I guess 28%, you could say, to the right the entire time. Let me just verify that, make sure the panning doesn't change. Yeah, the panning never changes. So, I don't know, Crowder, if you watch this video and you're in the comments, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the acoustic is my 2007 Gibson Hummingbird, but it could be his J45. I can't honestly remember. And it was mic'd with a 414, I'm pretty sure. I used my 414 BULS, which is like 80s-ish model or whatever. Sounds real good. And at this point, I think when we recorded this, I still had my Sony console, so it probably went to a Sony preamp on the console, and I might have EQ'd it a little bit on the way in. Probably was tracked with a tiny bit of compression. Here's what it sounds like. Yeah, and so that was probably just like an 1176, barely doing anything on the way in. And so then I'm using the Bliss plugin. So nice. LA2, this is great for acoustic. Yeah, Soothe, you know what that's all about. Yep, and that's pretty much it. So then at the end of the day, you know, we had, let's just do this. Let's mute the banjo, keys. You know, this is obviously, it's mixed now. So, you know, end of the day though, we pretty much had vocals and everything that you hear here. One thing that I want to talk about is that we use two microphones for Crowder on this. And I wish that I still had I've summed them together at some point, and in this version of the session, I don't have them individually, but we used the we used the Lawson L47, which is like a U47, and then we also used this Salt Shaker microphone. And the Salt Shaker microphone we made a little dirty, but it still didn't quite like satisfy me how dirty I wanted it to be. So they got some together, and what you hear is this right here. This is the sum of both of them. Here, let's listen to a little bit of the verse going into the chorus.
And power gets you laid. We pulled the pin and swallowed that grenade. Yeah, final.
And it would have also gotten tracked through one of the Blue Stripe 1176s. Those are out of the frame, but I got that over there, which is from Audioscape, and then also my Audioscape V-Comp. That's what this vocal would have went through. And then those two microphones, the Salt Shaker microphone probably wasn't getting any compression, maybe was 1176, but then they got summed together, and so that's what you just heard. Then I took this sum and I ran it through one of the, what are those things called? FK comps by Garbage Ideas, and those things are ridiculous. And here, I'll turn it up so you can hear it. Those things are crazy sounding. So here's what that sounds like. This is the vocal running through the FK comp on the distortion mode or overdrive mode, whatever it's called.
And power gets you laid. We pulled the pin and swallowed that grenade. Yeah, I know.
I had to make some edits there to keep it from getting too like spitty sounding or whatever. But so those two blended together. The original two microphones plus the FK comp sound like this.
When money leads to power and power gets you laid, we pulled the pin and swallowed that grenade. Yeah, final.
So cool. You can really tell that the FK comp, even though it's pretty low by comparison, it's just adding just the right kind of saturation to really make this vocal a cool, dirty sounding vocal. So, and then let's go to the harmonies. Here are Trevor and Andrew singing Fire in the Hole.
Yeah, fire in the hole.
And I got a little fade on the fire to kind of just soften that F, just to make it, not rub too much against the lead vocal. Here's what they all three sound like together.
Yeah, fire in the hole.
So that's pretty much where we landed on this one. And then we got keys back, and Don is such a wonderful, wonderful keys player. Just always plays the right stuff. Let's listen to a little B3 here. Let's listen to the B3 in this solo section. And I love that because he did that so much where he's accenting some of what Trevor's playing in the solo, and sometimes certain runs he's not stepping on, and then certain runs he's playing synced up with. So here's what the solo and the B3 sounds like together. So cool. It's awesome, dude. It's so awesome. So that would have been what everything sounded like. And we sat on this for a while. And then Shep joined the band, and he added this banjo, which let's just solo the banjo. We got 3 microphones here, and it sounds like this in the chorus. So let's listen to the chorus without the banjo. And now with the banjo. It makes it. It's so sick. It just like when we all heard it, it was just like this. It just takes the song to a completely different place. I feel like it really, really just makes the chorus really drive so much harder. And we were all so stoked about it. I remember just listening to this for the first time and just being tickled to death. And then we have one more thing. Let's listen to this bridge. This is the bridge in its original form. Okay, and then the boys humored me. I don't think everybody was as sold on this as I was. I think it was mostly, I don't know. Maybe it was me and Crowder. I'm pretty sure that Andrew told me at one point he didn't love it, but it wasn't a deal breaker for him. So we added this little part, and it's just some ooze in the chorus. For me, it's a totally different song, different vibe. But for some reason in my brain, I was thinking of the ooze that are in Rooster by Alice in Chains, even though that's a totally different vibe. And so we have these ooze that are in the bridge right here. They're all harmonized, a little stack of everybody singing. Little click bleed getting through there. That's funny. And then here's the bridge with those ooze in there. And that's it, dude. It is rock and roll. That's his song. Super fun one to make. Nothing crazy. We didn't reinvent the wheel here. But we got some cool stuff happening on that. So this is episode 1, Trailers on Bricks, talking about the production and the mix for the Damn Shames songs. Yeah, all right. Got any questions? Leave them below. I'll try to answer them. And this was fun. I'll probably do a few more of these from the record. And I don't know, if I can find the time, maybe I'll do the whole record. All right. See you later.